Hello everybody, how we doing? See the chat's getting lively already. Nice to see you all today. I see that Ms. Theosaurus and Nye and Patty are here already. Hi guys, nice to see you. I'm so pleased for Patty. I really am. Patty, I'm so happy for you. You never answered my question though about whether you found out how to pronounce the dog's name. I would love to know. That's like piqued my curiosity. Since you guys are the only three here, we are a little bit early. Just let me know about sound levels, etc. I've got a bit of explaining to do. I've got a few disclaimers. But if I can know about the noise levels, that would be great. Hello, Caramarinas. How are you? I haven't seen you in a wee bit. Have you been in the streams lately? Nice to see you all the same. Glad that you're here. And we're talking about the weather. I always think that's such a British thing, but apparently not. We're all in it together. Gillas and fish gills. So yeah, so I was right. Ogilvy. Yeah. Yeah, okay. That I'm really glad because that makes me. Yeah, I was right. Congratulations, Patty. That is amazing. I'm so happy for you. I really am, and especially since it's when I say strange breed, I mean that in the best way, obviously. You're calling her Evie. Oh, I love the name Evie. That's amazing balls. Jem's hair looks fantastic. Oh my word. Right. Honestly, this is becoming a thing now. If you look at the back of my hair, look at I've got all these weird, okay, right, thanks, I'll take it. I was just saying to Mr. Jem the other day, I actually need it cut because like my fringy bits now are getting really long and it's getting to the point where I'm going back to that sort of really scraped back look when my hair was really long, and I like it softer around my face, so I'm going to have to go for a haircut soon. But this is basically the result of I washed my hair really late on last night, and when I went to bed it was kind of still a bit damp, and I woke up this morning and I had like proper ringlets at the front. And Mr. James like, look how curly your hair is. I was like, oh my god, I know. It's like this shape, like triangular. Ah. Well, do you know, Patty, like, see, when I was younger, I went through a phase of kind of wishing my hair was just curly. and I actually got a perm, and it wasn't when perms were trendy, it was after that. And it sat so well, and everyone always thought my hair was naturally curly, because what was happening was I was tonguing it like almost every day to make it more uniform. Does that make sense? Because obviously my hair's wavy, it's not curly, and I was knocking the absolute stuffing out it, like just with heat treatments. And I really enjoyed having it permed, but when it grew out and the curls loosened, and I've often thought about doing it again, because I'm at the stage where, and I've said this a million times, but I wait to see what my hair wants to do and then kind of work around it. I can't get it to do, what I want it to do. It's like, that's one of those things. Oh, hi Yvonne! Enjoying watching the Olympics on a day off, not doing very much. Good. That sounds like a good day to me. Right, so yeah, just a few caveats before we start. I've actually made a list here because there's a few things that I need to mention. First of all, I tested the internet speed, as I always do, just before the stream, and our internet speeds are really choppy today, so things might drop out from time to time. We've not gone down at all, but they have like been considerably weird. I'm assuming it's a few things. See, when it's really close and sticky, it seems to be a thing, and I don't know why. But the other thing that's happening now is, unfortunately, we have started harvest. And the boys are running up and down with trailers full of grain. Now, the cave faces the back of the house, so this window here is out to the back. But when the boys drive past the front with their trailers, it seems to like wobble the internet, and I'm assuming it's just because we're mobile internet and it might interfere with the signal which comes from the other direction. So that's wonderful. The other thing about that is, as well, I've had to close all the windows on the front side of the house, because when the boys drive past, they're just kicking up dust off the road. And because of that, the house is really warm. It is quite warm here today. So all the windows and doors on this side of the house are open. The grain shed, basically our garden, like if you go in that direction to the other end of the house, we have like a little mini wood or forest, which is part of our garden. And then the grain shed's on the other side of that. Mr. Jem is about to start up the grain dryer, and I need to know if you can hear it. I've tried to adjust the mic and stuff so that it picks up minimal background noise, but if you can hear it and it's a problem, I need you to let me know. It's unlikely you'll hear the boys battering past at the front, but I'm concerned because the noise that comes from the grain one. So if that interferes at any point, if you could just let me know, I'll go through and I'll shut some of the windows and doors. It's not warm enough that I'll expire in here. I've actually got a long sleeve top on. It's not like I'm roasting or anything, but it's warm for Scotland, put it that way. Patty straightened her hair when it was longer and it lasted all of 15 minutes. Yeah, I'm kind of like that too, Pat. Like the minute there's any humidity or moisture, which is a lot in Scotland, it just starts to sort of like, it goes like, what? Like this. I did go to a hairdresser once. That was in the original cave, and she straightened my hair after she cut it, and it stayed straight for a full 3 days. And I was like, what sorcery is this? Like, how have you done this? But everyone looked at me and was like, you don't look like yourself. Tractor affected internet. Well, I'm assuming that's what it is. I don't even think it's the tractors, but it could be because all of our tractors have got GPS trackers on them, which is a story for another time. And I think that signal interferes, and I think that's what's causing it. Everyone's hiding from the sun. It's funny. Oh, God. Tractor affected internet. Right, the other thing as well is I woke up this morning with a really banging headache, like not quite like migraine territory, but that headache has persisted and I've been bumping myself full of migraine medication, just over the counter medication. But I've been taking that over the course of the day, and about an hour ago I had to give in and take what I call my big tablets, and they knock me a wee bit squiffy sometimes. I feel fine just now, and if I start to not feel fine, I'll tell you, but they normally work quite well. But if I seem a bit more kind of erratic and floaty than usual, that's the reason for it. Obviously, I'm absolutely fine. It's just one of the side effects. It sometimes makes you a little bit lightheaded. But if it stops me being able to, if it stops me from like losing my right eye, I'm all up for it. So, yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's all the disclaimers and everything out the way. I'm finishing off my cup of tea, and again, one of the good things about drinking tea is it's got caffeine in it, and that accelerates the effectiveness of painkillers. And quite often, I'm sure some of you will seen, if you buy over the counter ibuprofen, it quite often has caffeine added to it, and it's because it accelerates the rate of the effectiveness. So I'm going to gulp down my tea, and then I'm just going to fill myself full of water, which is my big vat of water, which I've been supping away at today. So hopefully things will be okay. The thing is though, I'm trying not to let it bother me, because I've been in a really good mood all day. I've had a really good day today, and work's been a bit like proper job work. I mean, it's been a bit choppy and unpredictable for the last couple of days, and it's not bothered me or stressed me, but do you know what I mean? You just think, oh God. So to have today to sort of potter about and do stuff with the cave and everything's been really, really nice, and I don't want like a headache to ruin it, kind of thing, you know? Hello Susan, nice to see you. Yeah, migraines sound like fun. Yeah, they're not. I think I get off quite lightly on the migraine front, honestly. I've only ever been physically sick from a migraine once. I think I've come close a couple of times though. But there are people that literally can't lift their head. But what happens for me is, because everyone always, like the sort of, the perception is that if you've got a migraine, you should lie down in a dark room. If I do that when I've got a migraine, the whole room like swings, you know, as if you're really, really drunk. And it's actually worse if I lie down and shut my eyes. I like a really low light setting, preferably with a really quiet but gentle noise in the background, maybe like the grain dryer. And that seems to work better for me. But the minute I close my eyes, because when you close your eyes, there's all these like bright flashy lights, you know, like paparazzi camera flashes, and it makes you like actually want to vomit more. I don't know if anyone else experiences that with migraines, but mine start from my right hand side, and it's as if someone's shining a bright light in your eye, and it gradually moves across until you can't see at all. And if it's really bad, it goes across both eyes, and that's when I start to feel a bit unwell. Yvonne's also multitasking, watching the Olympics, stitching and messaging folk, as well as housework. That doesn't sound like much of a day off, Yvonne. I think you're kind of diddling yourself out of a decent day off here. If Patty disappears, it's because the adoption agency have called. Well, I'm kind of hoping that you do disappear then, Patty. And if you do, once you're done, you have to come back and tell us all, because that's really important. Hello, Jan. Jan is not working, everyone. Yeah, I was watching a bit of the Olympics earlier. I wanted to see the end of the men's BMX final, which was absolutely astounding. Kieran Riley, who is our Great Britain participant, did an absolutely sterling job. He was just, he was amazing. He's a good little dude. Oh, hi Mel. Hello. Mel remembered to pay attention to reminders. Awesome, love it. Okay guys, that is now 3 o'clock, so let's get into the official start. Welcome to the Colour Cave. My name is Jem. Glad to have you here, and we are heading back to the last of our AquaBuddies, which is really exciting. I did get some hotkeys on the go which seem to not be working, and that just means that I shouldn't have to, oh there we go, magic, shouldn't have to click about with the mouse. So back in my sketchbook, and as promised last stream, I did transpose that sketch image slightly bigger, so you can just see the outline here. This is the one that we're going to work on with coloured pencil. And for those of you that saw my post earlier on Facebook and on the channel community tab, where have I put them? I kind of thought about whipping out these pencils. Now this is a bit of a risk, but I think it might be fitting if we're gonna do the llama floaty, and that is the Castle Arts pastel tint pencils. I have done nothing, like zero, with these pencils. So my point being that it might be a bit of a risk and the colours might not turn out the way I would want them to. But Castle Arts conveniently provide not one but two swatch sheets. Now most of you will know the problem with this is the print colours tend to turn out slightly differently to those that actually go down on the paper. But I thought rather than sit and swatch them out, which have taken me absolutely ages, they've got the colours here, but more conveniently, because this is like a big foldy old-fashioned map job, that there's quite a lot of literature that comes in these sets of pencils. But this particular leaflet here, if I just flick through, there's a lot of stuff in here. Like, this is really handy for when you actually buy the pencils. But they've got this lovely colour wheel, and it's got the pencil colours all listed. So I thought we could kind of use that as like a sort of rough gauge if we're going to pick colours collectively as a community, because that's what we do here. Hi Pearl, didn't see you come in there. Oh, Patty says, since when did skateboarding become an Olympic sport? It was introduced at Tokyo, so like the last rotation, and I'm so glad for one because it's amazing. Pearl suffered terrible migraines in her mid-20s, flashing lights. Yeah. You now get the lights without the headache, so well, I suppose that's a step in the right direction. Thea hasn't used this set of pencils either, well, okay. Right, so yeah, I thought that this would probably be the best like swatch chart to work off of. So I'm just going to pop that aside. The other thing that really tickled me, Castle Arts sent me these pencils like way back when. It was when they sent out their colouring books that had just come out. And obviously I opened the tin to sniff it and see what was in it, but the thing that tickled me most is I have this one pencil and it's been sharpened the wrong way round. So this one has it has like the pastel tint, like the stamping's in the right place. You can't see it because it's a really pale pencil, but the band's in the wrong place. So I've got like one upside down pencil, which I'm not mad about. Some of you will know that I have an Inktense pencil. My dark indigo has no paint on the very end and I call it my special pencil. So I think this might be my special pencil from this set, but I'd say for some reason that just tickled me a wee bit. So hopefully we're going to bring those into play at some point. The Castle Arts tin's lovely though. I don't want this to start being a review of these, but it's got this nice like tracing paper sheet that sits over the actual pencils. But they've got loads of stuff, like they've got the customer service leaflet, they've got a little guide, which again's got all the colours listed, and talking about their different supplies and the artwork that's on the top of the tin. Plus this one, which is really helpful if you're new to colour pencils. And then they've got like the Castle Arts product guide as well. So a really well-rounded set, but I'd say I haven't actually tried them out, so I suppose the proof is in the pudding as always. We shall see, we shall see. Right, okay, so not really sure where to start here. What I have done is, this is the original image, if you remember, that I did over here, and what I did was I scanned this and I blew it up a little bit so that it would take up most of the page. Number one, so that it's easier for you guys to see on the stream, but also just in terms of working in the details, which I talked about before. When you're scaling down for a sticker, it's better to start big and scale it down than the other way around, and that is literally just the outline. So the way that I achieved that was by scanning the picture in on the old trusty printer, dumping it into Photoshop and then whoosh, expanding it out. and printing it off, which gave me this. So if I show you this, you can see it's much, much bigger than the original drawing. And then all I did was use my light pad to trace this outline on this new page. So for any of you that are curious of that particular process, that's how I did it. The thing with this process, it's a great idea if you're trying to replicate something that you've already drawn. The downside is that when you trace an outline like this, you tend to lose the expression and the character and the nuance because you're literally just going round the lines. But when you're tracing your own artwork, it's not as much of a problem because obviously you're going to dump that straight back in when you start working on it again. It doesn't work so well, it doesn't translate as well when you trace someone else's artwork, which obviously if you're doing it for gains for yourself, financial gains or whatever, that's a huge no-no. If it's just for practice, that's fine. But you do lose something in translation there. And you can see that little outline looks dead as a dodo. Like it doesn't look like anything at all. But we're going to remedy that right now. Right now, right now. Oh, this chat's busy. A special pencil, woo. You could swatch the colours as you pick them to use. I could, Susan, I was actually thinking about maybe doing like a separate casual live stream and just swatching them out and like in my, you know, like my normal swatch book. In this one here, because a lot of people seem to like that. It's like something people like to have on in the background. So I was kind of thinking about doing that. Again, I would appreciate your input in the chat if that's something you would want to hang about for. Maybe if you're just working away or, you know, doing something of your own. Seeing the sketch again made me giggle. It's so great. Okay. When I showed it to Mr. Jem, he just shook his head. He was just like, oh, God, not again. Swatching stream, yes, okay. Oh, Rika, hi, how are you feeling? Are you doing good? Susan's daughter thought she'd lost it in Tesco when she laughed at the pig plush that was in the same pose as the sheep. Yeah. Miri is also always happy for swatching videos. Oh, we're all up for the swatches. Oh, no, okay then. No issues there. Okay, so first things first, I need to find everything. I've got my little pencil case here. I've kind of recovered my my kneaded eraser from Friday's stream with the graphite. It's looking a bit better. I gave it a little bit of a clean up. So I'm just going to kind of rock it over here and really lighten up these lines because I don't, especially for the floaty part, I don't want it shining through the pastel colours. A wee bit more difficult to get rid of in Photoshop. Not difficult by any stretch of the imagination, but most of you know I hate Photoshop with a passion, so the more I can do at this stage to help myself out, the better. Although I have to say, like, Photoshop and I have become maybe not friendly, but more than acquaintances over the last little while. Jock's chucking himself about on the floor. He's been a bit off kilter today, has old Jockey Mo. He's struggling a wee bit with his itchiness. He's kind of into like peak itchiness now, because the crops are at their ripest and they're being harvested. There's a lot of pollen, there's a lot of dust. So we just have to try and keep him on level pegging for maybe like the next 2 weeks, and then he'll start to settle down. But he's absolutely out cold here, to the point where his ears are turned inside out and he doesn't care. Bless him. Okay, that's better. So I feel like the best place to start, and this is a thing that I do with a lot of pencil drawings, is I like to start with the darkest darks or the lightest lights. So in this case, if I just flip over the page again, when we're working away here, the things that are the darkest parts are our llama stroke alpaca eyes, these little comedy feet, and the face, because we decided this was going to be a Suffolk sheep. So I think the eyes are probably a good place to start. So obviously I've got these Castle Arts pastel pencils. I'm still going to use the Polychromos as well, because obviously the pastel pencils don't give us any deep tones. It's only very, very pale tones. So still got the old Polychromos to hand. I'm not going to start with black though. We want to do this very gradually and build up the colour. So I'm going to go for Cold Grey 6 in the Polychromos range because it's a nice dark grey, and when you layer black over the top of it, there's no complaints, you know, so we can darken down in stages. Hi Elise, how you doing? Nice to see you. You're now the second person to mention my hair, and I was just saying it's hilarious because it's absolutely wild. I'm probably going to end up pinning it up because this, see when I lean over, this part here annoys me because it's in my mouth and my nose, but I'll be fine. And I didn't think the eraser would survive. Well, to be fair, I didn't have high hopes for it now, but here we are. Ulrika's hot and bothered, but she's got a strawberry split. Ice lilies fix everything. Did you not know that? Mary's had 9 inches chopped off her hair. Yes. Well, you know I've been there. It's great, isn't it? And you want to go like this all the time. Especially if it's warm where you are, definitely. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, normally I would have my hair all scraped up, but because it's so much shorter now, I don't feel the need to do it. The only time I really like, you know, like up here is if I'm out working with the cows or if I'm going on a long walk with the dogs and I know I'm going to get warm. But the rest of the time I'm like, I just let it bob about. But I do tend, I prefer it like back off my face a lot of the time. And this you know, this sort of layered, softer feel, it's taken a lot of getting used to, but we're getting there. Okay, anyway, let's make a wee start here. So I'm going to pop in the eyeballs. I will add in the highlights for the eyes in Photoshop because you're not going to get a crisper, whiter highlight than if you do it digitally. We all know that. So let's pop these in and make a start. I am going to keep this beside me for reference, just because obviously it's a lot more defined, it's a lot darker. We do need to find the placement of these lovely big thick eyelashes, but I will leave that for now. What I do want to establish is what base colour would you like for the floaty. In my mind I had like a lilac-y colour, so maybe wisteria or pearl's kind of pearl. It's kind of like a greyish bluish purple. But I think wisteria would be a good base colour, and what I was planning on was having that as the main colour and then having some like, maybe not polka dots, but spots that would be all the different pastel colours. So I'd love to hear what you think about that. Yvonne's just the gas engineer at the door. Looks like I need to empty my art supplies cupboard. Oh no! Oh no! How dare you! That's not a plan. Don't like that. Mary's good with purple, okay? I'd spare him off until next week. Oh, no. Pastel dots. Okay, so if we're going to do pastel dots then, let me just go back to a graphite pencil. There's an F pencil there. So the best thing to do here is to establish the dots first, and then we can put our lilac or purpley colour down. I think we should avoid the face just because it's quite small in proportion to the rest of the body of the floaty. I still think it needs a fatter ass than that, but we'll come to that. So, because what I would do is work round the dots. With the lilac colour. And this is one of these, if you've ever tried to do something random without making it look too random, but it's still being random, you end up in a pattern and you don't mean to do it, and it's because you think too hard about it. So given the fact that we've established that it's a possibility that I might be neurospicy anyway, and the fact that I've taken multiple painkillers today, this shouldn't be a problem. We'll see. I had a really funny interaction. I actually meant to tell you about this on Friday, but I was so like concerned about cramming everything into the stream. We had I'll back a bit. Okay, so Mr. Jem was looking for a painter and decorator to do work on some of the properties on the estate, not in our house specifically, but there's 9 properties that are on and surround the farm, and Mr. Jem's in charge of some of them, and we have tenants in some of them. So, by pure chance, he was in one of the many agricultural places that we go for stuff, you know, like the engineers or the tractor dealer or whatever. And there was a man standing at the counter. Hold that thought. I'm going to make the bum bigger because I want a wee bit more comedy value. So he's standing in the queue waiting to get served at whatever service counter it was. And there was this elderly gentleman who had something wrong with a piece of machinery, and he was hoping that the people would be able to help him. And there was quite a long wait, they were quite busy, so Mr. Jem and this guy got talking, and this gentleman he's of pensionable age, he's like at least late 60s, if not early 70s, and struck up this conversation and asked Mr. Jem what he does for a living. So Mr. Jem told him, and whatever it was this guy had, Mr. Jem's like, oh, you don't need this, you won't get it here, this is what you need. And the guy says, well, how do you know that? And again, Mr. Jem explained. So it transpires that back and forth conversation, this gentleman was a retired painter and decorator. And Mr. Jem's like, oh, I could do with your help with something. So this gentleman has appeared here on our farm to do a bit of work for him, and he came to the door of the house about 15 minutes before I started the stream on Friday. Now obviously by that point I had like straightened myself up, I'd brushed my hair and like put a bit of powder and a bit of mascara on. And Mr. Jem had told him, if you can't get me, go to the house and knock the door because my wife's there. Even if she's working, she'll speak to you. So I opened the door onto this gentleman. His first response was, wowee, look at your husband, he's got a proper dolly bird. I have never laughed so much in my entire life. I have never, ever, ever been called a dolly bird. But it was said with like the utmost delight and surprise. There was no misogyny or like negative connotations. He was genuinely happy about this. And it was by far the funniest moment I've had in ages. So I kind of took it as a cack-handed compliment. That was really, really funny. Right, anyway, let's get back to what we're talking about. What I'm trying to think about here is, now that I've kind of placed some dots, I realise those are really faint for you. Maybe zoom in a wee bit. There is a slight curvature, obviously, on this rubber ring. So what I'm going to do is, this is nothing scientific, but I'm going to pop this in. But it's going to look something like that. So if we have round spots, their shape is going to change because they're on that curvature. And you can see there, I've probably exaggerated that too much, but we need to account for that. It doesn't need to be perfect because, well, that's not really what we do. We don't do perfect here for stuff like this. But we do need to kind of bear that in mind. So even if the top half looks normal there, it might suck in a little bit. The other alternative is obviously just to avoid having any spots on that line, but you know, you can do what you want. Yes, Yvonne's cupboard that we're talking about is in Aladdin's cave. That's not good. That's not a good sign at all, Yvonne. Sorry. Oh dear. Anyway, so it turns out that this painter gentleman, he's absolutely lovely, and he stopped by the next day as well, because he'd done some work and needed to be paid, and he was so excited to talk to me about everything. Like he really was. And I don't think I've had anyone genuinely that interested in things that I have to say about like myself for ages. because he said to me, the phrase that he used, and this might be considered racist, but it's not what he meant. He said, "You're very dark," and he meant my hair and my eyes, not my skin. And he said, you know, and he was like, "Oh, you're very dark." And I said, "Well, I haven't been out in the sun, but my dad's Italian." So that started an entirely different conversation, and he was delighted to hear about Papa Jem. Like, he really is the nicest guy, and his wife drives him about everywhere, and I don't know what the circumstance is to that, whether he can't drive or chooses not to. And his wife's sitting out in the car in the driveway while he's like talking to me, so I went out and gave her a wee wave, and she's so lovely as well. Like, the best experience I've had in ages. Right, this is Wisteria, so this is the this kind of lilac-y colour here. We're going to give that a wee bash, so I'm just going to do a really light layer of that round the neck and down onto the body. We've been here long enough now with these AquaBuddies and just pencil colouring in general. You know how this goes. So we're just basically mapping out colours here. We're not doing anything crazy. It doesn't need to be accurate. It doesn't need to be tidy. It doesn't need to be pretty. It makes no difference at all. What I will say is, though, just like planning ahead, so obviously the brain's starting to work. We've got this kind of midline that we're working out to be like the apex of the curve on the outside. So when we think about light sources, as we have done with all of the other AquaBuddies, you figure out where the light source is coming from. If you're sitting on water, the light source is going to be coming from above. So this top part will be lighter than the bottom part after, you know, the apex of the curve has passed. So even if we're just sticking with one pencil, we want this underside part to be much darker. And that gives you a little sense of the dimension of said floaty, whether it's a llama or something else. But let's just get this top part. So you can see, as I do with quite a lot of colourings as well, I'm splitting this into sections. I'm working on the top section first, and we can worry about the rest of it later. Not that we're worrying, but you know what I mean. That was just a turn of phrase. Yeah, so when Painter Man came back the next day, I was toddling about doing some housework, so I had no makeup on. My hair was like a pineapple, you know, I had everything piled on top of my head, and just like the top was like this. And I was in like an old baggy pair of joggy bottoms and all the rest of it. And he said to me that morning, he's like, "You're still as beautiful as you were yesterday." And I was like, "Oh, bless you, you're a proper charmer, you, aren't you?" Nicest man I've met in ages. And he did a really good job on the neighbour's house, on the tenant's house. And we have just had our final certificate for building work to build the extension on our house. And he told us that his son is a joiner, and he's got carpenter friends and plumber friends and all the rest of it. So it looks like we've got a full workforce ready to build our extension, which is really nice. So that was a very pleasant encounter indeed. Right, okay, so we've got this here. That's our lilac colour. So let's pick out maybe three pastel colours. So I'm going to leave that there. You can see all of them. It really was lovely. It kind of reminds me like a warm grandpa type, Mel. You know, like he obviously very old fashioned, very old school. Like, isn't good with mobile phones and all this kind of thing, but not in a sort of boomerish entitled way. Like, just a really nice older guy. And it kind of made me a wee bit warm and fuzzy, and I kind of wanted to give him a cuddle, but that's a bit inappropriate. Yeah, thanks, Jan. You knew I was going to do that anyway. Mel had a guy who did some flooring for him, and he brought his dog in. Oh, like we always appreciate people big and doggies. We've got a tractor mechanic that comes to the farm, and he's quite a young guy, and he's got a very young Jack Russell mix, and this little dog is adorable. And if he comes in and I happen to pass him, I tell my two to like sit down out the way, like all the way over there, and I go and cuddle his dog. Right, okay, so chat, you need to pay attention now. I would like you to pick 3 colours that are not purple, obviously. That you would maybe like for the spots on the floaty on the rubber ring. So welcome for some suggestions in the chat, please. I did think that maybe one of the yellowish colours and a pink might be a nice start, but I will leave it up to you. If you've got any favourites in this set, you can let me know. I'm going to drink my cold tea. Oh, racking up the comments for yellowy, orangey colours. So maybe like almond rose. Is that too dark? Oh god, Thea's all out. Foxglove, saffron and delphinium. I have to find all these. Foxglove. I can't see saffron. Where is it? Saffron. And what was your third one, Thea? Delphinium. Yeah. Oh, that's Mr. Gemin. Must be in for a pit stop. I'm really surprised Pip didn't bark there. That was weird. I really like bayberry because it's a really delicate green. Is that just me? I don't know if that feels appropriate or not. Delphinium is to the right above foxglove. Where the delphinium? Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, I like that one. I like that one. Bayberry is nice too. Yeah, I saw that in passing. Where did that go? You can tell I haven't even looked at this swatch chart ever. Okay, I'm right. I think. Oh, bayberry too. Okay. I kind of think lobelia is really nice as well. this is going to cause us problems, isn't it? Oh no. I really like delphinium. Well, I suppose we can see what they look like together. Let's turn over our swatchy here. Do some swatchy. Right, let's see if I can. Again, I don't even know if these pencils are in order. Is the problem? Right, there's bayberry. Now, obviously, I've had experience of Castle Arts pencils before. I really like the oil-based pencils better than the wax-based ones. That's the Castle Art Gold. That's a really nice colour, though. I do like that. And if we put it next to Wisteria, I mean, all the pastel colours go well together. Mel's like all of them. Ah, goodness me. Right, okay. Jan says that this shade will be a different colour for every spot. That might be fun. Ah, this lamb alpaca is going to be so... Well, look, will we just go for it, guys? Like, will we just have a different spot every colour? I mean, I don't see why not. If we decide it doesn't look good, I can always change it in Photoshop. There we go, that's your first chance to drink if you're playing a drinking game. Caramelinus, I'm going to be working with 2 sets of pencils today. You missed that in the intro. I've got the Castle Arts pastel tint pencils, which I'm using for the llama alpaca floaty. But I've also got the polychromo series as well, which I'm going to use for the sort of in between parts when we don't want mid-tones. But we're primarily working in the Castle Arts pastel tints. Yeah, oh, Thea's right there. Thanks, Thea. Right, okay, yeah, I'm totally up for just making all the spots different colours. Let's go for it. So let's think about this then. Oh, I think we should let's go for, I kind of like the foxglove colour. And saffron as well. I think that might be on the other tray. Hang on a minute here, just so anything. Right, here's saffron. Yeah, that's what I was hoping would happen, was to have a really strong, you know, if you layer the pencil up, quite a strong colour, because we don't want everything to be really washed out. And I think maybe I kind of like the idea of the foxglove as well, which again, not really sure where these are, but we'll find them. Foxglove. The foxglove pencil looks really, really pale. Oh, it's not. Look, they see for pastel pencils, these you can actually get some quite vibrant colour out of them, and that is very true. Like what I can see, like with my naked eyeballs, is very similar to what's coming off the camera. So that's fairly accurate. Right, so let's go for one of those, and one of these. I kind of like these three colours together. Oh yeah. Hello Angela, how you doing? Nice to see you. Do you, Mary? I was going to ask if anybody used these or preferred them or had them. As I say, like these were sent to me by Castle Arts, and they've been sitting there, and I keep thinking, oh, I need to use these, but I've never actually done anything about it. So you know, here we are. Right, we've got our first three spots. Oh my goodness! I'm going to go back to the wisteria. Now I'm going to start getting some actual colour down now. So very important just to build up a layer at a time. We'll do more work in terms of light sources and texture and curvatures and all that nonsense. But for now we just need a couple of layers of pencil down. Obviously, because I'm still in my sketchbook as well, I've decided not to do this in separate paper, and it's because I know that this paper behaves well with pencil. I know I can get quite a lot of layers on it, and when we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants in terms of what we're actually doing, this is honestly the best option. Under normal circumstances, I would probably plan this a little bit differently and do it slightly differently. But part of the appeal of doing this and doing this series of stickers is we're kind of doing it by the seat of our pants, because obviously I'm asking for input from you guys as well. So it's quite important that we have that flexibility. But from years of unboxing subscription boxes blind, you know, it's not really a problem. I'm kind of used to it. Caramarina's wishes she could. Oh, hang on. Right, chat, calm yourselves down. Wishes she could purchase them. Unfortunately, don't ship to where you are right now. And Patty's saying, wait and see how they look. Mary has their metallics as well, which are pretty good for a metallic set, but you don't use them as often. I'm really not into metallic pencils. It's not my thing. I am spoiled by having most of Julia Kay's metallic paints. So the minute I think metallic, I'm like, oh, I'll just use them. They only ship to the UK, Germany and France. Very angry about that. Do you want to ship them here and I'll send them to you, Thea? Because I can do that. It's a new set that's out. They don't ship to Austria. Well, that's a bit of a shitter, isn't it? And Mary's saying that the metallic pencils, they work pretty well just as a different tone pencil. Yeah, I think for the sheer fact that I've got so many pencils, I'm not really drawn in by that sort of novel idea, oh, metallic pencils, because you're never going to beat metallic paint, let's face it. So, and metallic paint comes in so many formats now. You know, you can get really thin nibbed metallic pens, so not really interested in metallic pencils. I'm sure they'll put them on Amazon eventually. Well, I'm willing to check it out for you if you ever feel the need. Brexit always gets in the way. You don't need to tell me that. You try having a UK shop. Ruins everything. I have lost 99% of my European, I mean like mainland Europe trade because of Brexit. It has absolutely ruined me for that. And I'm very angry about that. I do tend to keep it to myself. I don't like politics getting in the way of art, but unfortunately, to keep the cave afloat, Obviously, the shop is a huge part of that, so I can't say that I'm not angry about that because 100% am. But we're going to rise above it. Okay, so do you think we should keep going with these different coloured spots, or do we want the same pencils? Mel's gathering quite the collection of Julia Kay's beautiful watercolours. Well, interesting you should mention that, Mel. I have some new colours for August. Would you all like to see what the colours are for August that are going to be in the stash shop? If the answer is yes, let me know in the chat. Miri thinks these three work well together. That's good. I kind of like it. I don't mind very busy pictures having a lot of colour in them because it keeps the busyness going. But maybe with this, I think maybe 3 colours would be good. Miri, is the Pope a Catholic? Right, okay, I'll go get them. I'll get them right now for you. Step over Jock so don't hurt him. That's the moon's check. Okay, so these two are going to be the August colours, so they're going to be available in the stash shop in the next few days. And the first colour is a Contium, and we also have Algot as well. So we've got a really vibrant purple colour when it's concentrated, but you can see if you dilute it, it gives you this beautiful like mid-purple colour. And I just think teamed with this sort of lemon yellow colour, it's absolutely beautiful. And it wouldn't look out of place with our little llama floaty here either. So yeah, if you fancy some of those, obviously got them here in the stash shop. I'm not sure if Julia has high stock levels of these in our Etsy store. Our Etsy store is open. But these will be available literally in the next couple of days. I am going to be doing an update video probably by the weekend as well, because I've got a few other things I want to talk about. But yeah, those are our new colours for August. If you fancy a wee bash at those, you can buy them from the stash shop. You'll know the website address by now. It is the purple and yellow, so it's always good. Right, so let's crack on here a wee bit. Let's have a big yellow one there, and maybe this one here is going to be a wee pink one, and oh, maybe that one's going to be a pink one too. And we can have that there. I've kind of avoided this area here because I don't know how fluffy I'm going to make the sheep fleece. That's the only reason. Right, so let's start to work in a little bit more. I always naturally, like, instinctually want the light source coming this way. So let's change it up just for funsies. Let's say the light source is coming from that side, and I am, if I can find a graphite pencil. So let's just, obviously I can erase those lines later, but they don't really matter right now. So the light side's going to be top right this time. So this means the bottom left is the darkest area, and that is what we're going to do. Now we need to think about the curvature of the floaty as well. On this side it's not going to be as important or as prominent, but it's just something to bear in mind as we're going round here. So let's keep this fairly light. And again, I mean, I can adjust this in Photoshop. I'm quite reluctant to do that though, because you do tend to lose the pencil texture, and there's loads of filters and stuff you can put on, but it's just not the same. So again, I would rather do the work. You've heard me talk a lot about the brush doing the work and not the pencil, or the paint doing the work and not the blah blah blah. But when it comes to stuff like this, I do like to do the work in pencil. It's one of the reasons I like to work in pencil specifically, because it's kind of half the fun, honestly. But we're going to build this up in really light layers. Obviously, using pastel pencils as well, you're only going to get a certain level of depth, so we're going to have to layer up different pencils because you can press down as hard as you want with this Wisteria pencil, but you're only going to get to a mid-tone. I'm just going to give this a wee sharpen. I feel like I need a bit more of a pointy point here. Thea wants the fluffiest sheep. Yeah, Janet, if you're going to put an order in, maybe want to wait a day or two in case you want some of these paints as well. They are really pretty, Patty. Like to be fair, the colours that I've got for this month and next month, because I'm not sure if Julia's fire set's going to be ready. Some of you might have seen that on Instagram. She's having bad trouble drying them out because of the humidity. So just in case they're not ready, I've got other colours for September as well. But they're still quite what I would call vibrant and summery colours. It's really when we go into like October that the colour palette mutes down a little bit. So I know Julia's paints are expensive, but if you're in the market for stuff like that, it's kind of worth holding off sometimes. The other thing that I'm going to do with this in Photoshop is I'm going to put really sharp white highlights on some of the light bouncing areas, and it's to give it that sort of really shiny effect, you know, as if it's been blown up really taut. So when I'm thinking about the curve, we've got this like really curled round bit here, and we kind of want the darkest part to be halfway between the apex of the curve and this part here, but we don't have a lot of room for that, so we can be quite conservative. So I'm going to draw an extra line in this sort of shape so that it follows the curvature of that line, and we're just going to very subtly blend that out on either side, because that, I mean, it's tight, a tight space there. There's no way around that. There's only so much you can do with that. Again, can zoom in Photoshop or whatever, but I don't really care about that, honestly. So when we're looking at this centre line here that we've put in, this is our lightest area. And as we come up here, I'm going to kind of draw like almost a spine up the middle there. Very, very... I've just realised as well, I've not got you in manual focus. How come you haven't all told me you're going to be sick by now? If I put like a spine up there, just with that zigzag motion, that lets me differentiate between the dark side, which is this side, and the not so dark side. So, and when I say dark side, I mean that relatively, obviously. So we can join this up a little bit now. Again, not pressing particularly hard because we don't need to. We're going to do it in layers. Now, we've got this weird junction here, and the best thing to do is just blend that together very gradually. No problemo there. Because really what I'm doing just now is just joining all this colour together. And when we head from this section downwards, we just want it to get gradually lighter to that first sort of dividing line that we had. Again, we're still in the very, very rough stages here. Like this doesn't have to be perfect. Now, when we're thinking about how this light's coming down, obviously the neck is blocking quite a lot of that light. You know, if you were to take a ruler and point it across, this part here probably to about there is actually going to be in shadow, although it's the highest part of the floaty. So again, it doesn't have to be particularly scientific, but you can factor that in. And then what that lets us do with this part here is do a really nice gradual fade out to this middle section, which is the apex that's like bulging out because this is an inflatable. So we can do that. Let's just brighten off some of this pink a little bit. That's actually a really nice colour. I like that a lot. I like it. Ooh, peary. There, that's popping out like a little shiny penny there. Jan spent the art fund for this month. Always make your art fund bigger. Who needs food? About having the whole overspending. Ah, I'm just glad that you've got like a budget because I don't think I've ever had. Well, I mean, I have had. Obviously, I've got to have budgets, otherwise I wouldn't still have a business. But it is a very relaxed budget, I have to say. Right, so let's define the floofy fleece here. Oh, I've got a wobbly tip. This is not good. I'm going to exaggerate that just a little bit just for funsies, but I think that's it. Yeah, there we go. I could feel that wobbling about in the case in there. That wasn't going to go well. I would just like to point out as well, if I just bring the Contium colour here and put the core of that pencil next to it. A little bit of matchy going on there. So obviously it's got a little bit more yellow in it. It's a little bit lighter, but very similar colours if you're feeling that inclined. This, I don't think the Tagal sharpener is going to deal with this because there's quite a lot of core and not quite a lot of casing and not a lot of core for a bit. In these circumstances, I will normally grab my bullet sharpener. Now I had it earlier. I might have chucked it around some. Oh no, there it's there. Okay, good. Let's just try and take off some of this casing a wee bit here. So I'm going really gently. When I'm doing this, this isn't the way I would normally sharpen a pencil, but when I'm trying to take off the core, I turn the pencil, not the sharpener. Normally I do like a weird hybrid of both, but because I'm trying to like shave off this casing, I tend to control the pencil because I want to be able to move the pencil like this so that I can take off these shavings on the outside. So you can see the cores come back into existence. And that's really all I wanted to use this for. And now that I can see it again, I've got a bit of a split down there, but that's okay. I will go back to my Tagal. Maybe not, I think a 5. You don't want to get too ambitious. We're not going to go for a super pointy point. Let's just try and get a point. So I'll try 3, so middle ground. And we'll see how we go. Mel just renames impulse purchase to investing in my art. Thea says Jem's using my sharpener nemesis. Mary always turns the pencil if you're using a manual sharpener. How interesting. I do not. Thea always turn the pencil, never the sharpener. No, that's not the way you're supposed to do it. But there we go. Look, there's the result using the 2 sharpener method. Maybe I should patent that. Look how much of a nice pointy point I've got on that. And that pencil was critical there for a minute. So we're all good. Miri mainly uses her Helix Helical Blade Desk Sharpener. Right, okay, so here's a thing. This is a point of contention for me. I had a Helix desk clampy sharpener. Undoubtedly, they give you such a range of controlled points right through to like a ridiculous, like really, really long pointy point. But they chew through so much of the pencil. And I'm absolutely not up for that. I gave my desk sharpener to Mr. Jem. I can't, it doesn't matter whether it's the electric or the manual ones. I'm like, no, that's tuned. Like, I can do a better job by hand, and that's with a dodgy hand, than using the helical sharpeners. Ulrika had an appointment this morning, and on the way home thought, I'm feeling grumpy, need tuning up canvases and some Mod Podge. Because when you've got knee problems, canvases are the answer, Ulrika, obviously. Duh. You don't have to pull it out to the full extent, Mary. There's so many jokes there. Come on. Oh. No, I just can't with them. Like, no. Hello, Michelle. Nice to see you. I'm good. I'm actually really good today. I've had a really sore head all day and I've had a lot of painkillers, but riding it out and doing okay. I hope you're feeling better, Michelle, as well. Distraction is often better than codeine. I can confer with that, Ulrika, definitely. Well, see, that's the other thing, Patty, when you've got these types of sharpeners, I hate the teeth marks they leave in them. Like, it annoys me. It does annoys me. Anyway, back to what we're doing. We've got a lovely point now, and this is perfect for... Now, you can see where I've put the little fleece outline in, and because we've decided the light's coming this way, that is going to be the darkest part. So I'm actually going to thicken up that line, and I'm like really going to confirm that that's the shape of the fleece, which is nice. I like that. Speaking of fleeces, came across it. Some of you might know I quite enjoy Reddit, purely for recreational value, nothing else. And I came across a random post today where people were talking about sheep. And someone said that sheep are pretty smart. They're as smart as dogs. Now, for any of you that do use Reddit or have used Reddit, I don't know if this is like a common practice, but I don't know how many times I've started typing out a post and then just discarded it because I think, oh, this is so not worth the argument. I had a strong compulsion to answer this gentleman's post today. I tried not to be condescending or superior about it, but I said to him, with all due respect, you've clearly never looked after more than a handful of sheep because they are not smart. And people, and when I say people, I mean the general Reddit public, did not like that. They did not like that. And I'm like, it's not my fault. Y'all have got a very skewed view of sheep. He was trying to tell us that if sheep are lost, if they find a human, they will go to that human to lead them to safety. And I'm like, no, that's not the way it works. I was moderately outraged in a social media kind of way about that today. Just, oh God. Like, I just can't with stuff like that. Clearly has the intelligence of sheep. Well, I wasn't going to be that insulting, Jan. That's a bit cutting. That's funny, Pat. I mean, I don't use Twitter now at all. Since Elon Musk took over Twitter, again, don't like to get into political stuff, but I did a quiet quit on Twitter. So, I love Reddit though because there's so much wholesomeness and goodness on Reddit as well. I actually enjoy using it, but every now and then, especially when it comes to agricultural references or posts, I do tend to get to like the farmer outrage stage. But I tend to keep it to myself most of the time. I know this feeling too well. Many a novel length reply that has been deleted while I go and count to 10 in the corner. So true. See, when Mr. Jem's really stressed me, he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, that's funny. Right, so we're still going to have a shadow edge around here as well because our fat little Suffolk sheep is going to be in the way of the light source too. And I think this is our... Oh, goodness me. That was not meant to happen. Oh, panic. Where's my erase? I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of that. Because we're using pastel colours for the floaty, it is quite important to get as much contrast as possible, and that's a really good excuse for like a dark shadow edge. And y'all know that there's going to be indigo going in there. I think I might have to just build that into the... Oh, right, there we go. It's fine, there's nothing to see here. That's a really nice way to introduce some tonal change. I've just realised as well, I've obviously touched my face at some point. I do have a little bit of foundation on, and I've put my dirty fingers on the paper after touching my face. Can tell I'm not used to wearing foundation. Right, okay, so that's given us quite a nice defined edge there. So we've got the tail part here, which again is going to be under the shadow of this tremendous cocktail. So we can probably assume that most of that's going to be darker. When I say darker, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to split hairs over this. that's the grain dryer started up. That's really loud. Right, I need, for those of you who were here in very early stream, if you can hear that, I need you to tell me now so that I can adjust the mic settings. But that's like a constant rumble. You know, like if you had the tumble dryer on in your house and you could hear it, that's what it sounds like in my ear right now. So if that's transferring to the mic, please let me know so that I can adjust the settings. I find it very relaxing personally, but when you're doing a live stream, it's not ideal. So there might be more light on the very tip, and I want the tail to be known. It's like a little poopy tail. And then this part under here is going to be darker as well. So that's going to be darker again. So we're going to employ some indigo in there and then bring that up to the lighter stage, which is where our midline is. So it's coming together. Like, we have to do this slowly so that we get it right, and it's better to take your time. As I've said many times before, it's really, really difficult to erase coloured pencils, so you're better to go slowly, catchy monkey, and keep building it up and realise that something's too light rather than having to go the other way. Oh, Jock's making noises. Oh, Patty, yes! Oh, Patty, that is amazing. For those of you that joined in later, Patty's been trying for ages to adopt a dog from a shelter, and she had her little beady eye on quite an exotic breed, and she can go and pick her up today. Patty, that is amazing. Congratulations. I am so happy for you. As I said in the Discord chat earlier, I couldn't imagine life without having a little doggy body running around, so I'm so pleased for you. Go! Piss off, get out the stream, go and get her. Nah, you can't hear it, that's good. That's really good to know. Thank you for letting me know. Can we have a round of pink udder hands in the chat for Patty, please? And the fact that she is now being cleared to pick up an adopted dog. Because obviously all of you know dogs are really a really close thing to my heart. Yeah, we want loads of pictures, Patty. Yeah. That's so good. That's amazing. I'm so happy for you, Patty. I really am, because I know you've been waiting quite a while for this. I'm so glad you've been approved to do this. Yay! Woo! I think in all fairness, we might have to draw this dog because she is quite a rare breed that most people haven't heard of. And she's got very interesting colouring. Patty, would you like me to draw a wee picture of your dog once you've got some good photos? Because I would absolutely love to do that for you and send it over to you. Like, I really would. Obviously, I've never drawn a dog like her before. Oh, yes, please. Yay! Okay, I would love that. I honestly, genuinely would love to do that for you. Oh, I'm so happy. That makes my heart so happy. Yeah. I'm secretly and covertly working on another doggy portrait just now, and I can't talk about it because the person that it's for might actually be lurking and I don't know about it. But I don't do pet portraits very often now. To be brutally honest, I find it quite dull. It's very formulaic until you get to the colour part, and I kind of only do it now because I really want to. So I tend not to mention it, and I do not post it on social media just so that I can surprise the person with it. But I am actually working away on something else just now, and obviously I will show you long after the fact, but that's going to be a while away. But yes, for you, Patty, I would absolutely love to do that. Just trying to get me maybe steadier pencil down here. Now, Nai's just brought up something in the chat, and I was actually going to address this in the update video. Nai has said, now that the paid options for the channel are no longer available, is it possible to get into the Discord? If anybody here in the chat just now uses Discord and would like to join the Cave Discord, all you need to do is drop me an email and we will welcome you into the fray. Thea and I actually had this conversation a couple of days ago, and we'd both been thinking about it but hadn't vocalised it. Obviously, with me disabling the membership situation because I don't feel I can provide a standard of service that is worthy of paying for. We did talk about opening up the Discord for people that are regularly, especially in streams, or regularly commenting on videos. So Nye, do you want to send me a really quick email, and we will send you an invite into the Discord, and you're more than welcome to join us. If anyone else feels the same way, this isn't just limited to Nye. If you do use Discord and you want to join us, we'd be happy to have you. It's just one of those things that's kind of like gone by the wayside a wee bit, obviously with everything that happened for me at the tail end of the year between Glyn and Mr. Jem being really unwell. It really wasn't a priority, but it's not because we're trying to exclude anyone. Obviously, you know that this is quite an inclusive little community we've got, but if people want to come into the Discord, absolutely fine with it. Just drop me an email. Thea, could you pop up my email address, please, for anyone who would like to try that out? Because I'm trying to make progress here, and I keep stopping to talk. Is my main downfall as a person. I need to, there we go. Just a wee bit too much graphite going on in that dot there. So again, like darker down the bottom here, this is the deepest depths of the ocean, and lighten it up towards the middle, again to the apex of that curve on the floaty. You can see I've deliberately missed out the sticky out legs. We'll deal with them separately. This is going to be really light, this edge here, because the light's going to be hitting that, but we still need a wee bit of colour down, so let's do that. And I just want to map in the colour of the rest of the spots. I feel like I want a really big green one, and I think it's going to be this one. This one is green also. This is the pink one. Pink. So this one is going to be yellow. A pink one. Okay. Nice. Likey. Ulrika's so curious about this lovely dog. Oh, she's lovely. She is lovely, Ulrika. Nye says, yes, please, thank you. Ulrika's never used Discord, but I'd be happy to learn and join in. Ulrika, for someone who is at home all the time, it doesn't just have to be for the cave. Obviously, I work from home and I'm at home all the time. There's loads of different servers you can join based on your like your hobbies or just your general interests. And if you tend to be by yourself for a lot of the day, it's really nice just to see chat scrolling by, not even for you to participate, but for it to be there. Discord's great. I would highly recommend it. It is quite overwhelming, or certainly when I first looked at it, I found it very overwhelming. I started using it years and years ago as a gamer, and the sheer influx of responses left me a bit flustered to begin with. But once you kind of navigate it and figure it out, you can kind of hone it down to what you want to see, so to speak. And our chat's really easy going. There's all the channels and all the rest of it. If you would like a navigation lesson on Discord, Ulrika, I highly recommend speaking to Ms. Theosaurus, because she's very good at it. She's better than me at it. But yes, would highly recommend. Jan says, can we have a special Patty's dog channel, please? I can't have a dog, so I need this on the Discord. Right, okay, Thea, this is your next task. Can you go into the Cave Discord and create a Patty's dog channel so that she can put up a million bajillion squillion pictures and we can all comment and ooh and ah over it? Yes, please, thank you. It might only be a temporary channel, but I think that is a worthy addition, Jan, so your wish is my command. Miri's got 25 different Discord servers. I think I'm probably up in the late teens, to be fair, Miri. Like old school message boards, kinda a little bit more streamlined than that, Ulrika. But yep. Oh, Melness is having dogs too. Oh, like honestly, Mel, I couldn't be without my dogs because I spend a lot of time in the house on my own. It's nice just having the bodies. It's especially nice having the two characters that I've got as well, though. You don't need to be isolated, Ulrika, especially like a Discord. Quite often, I may not respond in our Discord, but I see everything. Thea, Jan, and Patty and April are quite often just floating about as well, throughout the course of the day. Elise says, please call it Puppy and Kitty channel. No, that this is just going to be for Patty's dog. We do have a channel for pets, do we not? I can't actually remember. Right, see, now you've got the question of myself, Elise. Evie Spaces created. Thea, do we not have a channel for pets as well? Like, have we not already got that just because Elise was asking? Yeah, we do have a pets channel. Yeah, I thought we did. Thea, yes, absolutely. Yes, 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 yes. That would be fine, Thea. Yeah, so basically, Ulrika, that's like the admin, the cave admin channel, which is basically all the crap that Thea has to deal with that I don't deal with. And she'll get you set up with Discord. Oh, that's funny. Right, guys, it's 7 minutes past 4. Jock, stop scratching. He's lying on his side, fast asleep in his back legs, trying to like scratch his chest like this. I didn't even wake him up. I would like to take a comfort break if that's okay. While that's going on, you can all sort of your Discord stuff, talk about food while I'm away because that's what you do. Susan says it's nice having a dog as they can't answer me back, but think my dog answers me back more than my kids ever did. Well, your dog makes you go to bed, so. Elise said I tried to do the bingo last time, but the site would not take my debit card or PayPal. Well, we've got PayPal available, so I don't know why it wouldn't take your PayPal. We don't take debit cards from other countries, but we do take credit cards from other countries. Patty, best of luck. All the cave love to you, and fingers crossed everything goes swimmingly. Just remember, it's going to take a wee bit of time for things to settle, especially if you're getting a shelter dog. And I hope that in the next few days you will revere us with lots of pictures and whatnot. But sending all the cave love to you and your new member, because they're going to be a family member. Bye, Patty. Oh, just makes my heart so full. It really does. Jan, could you not mention how much time I spend on Discord rather than working? Well, you kind of put yourself in that position, Jan. You can't pin that on me. Other hands for Patty. Yeah. Oh, I love it when stuff like this happens. Right, guys, I'm going to take a quick comfort break. I'll be as quick as I can. Not really worried about Jock having to go for a bathroom break. It's more just for me, and I'll go and make sure that Pip's not getting into any mischief. But I will be back very shortly. Once again, just talk amongst yourselves, and we'll carry on very, very shortly. back, I'm back. I had to pin my hair up. I went out of the room and Pip was standing in the hallway with a tennis ball in her mouth, wagging her tail. So I just took her outside there, and it is what my husband would describe as minging hot. It's horrible outside. I mean, it's really warm, but it's sticky as hell, and my hair like instantly stuck to the back of my neck there. So pin it up out the way. So got my wisdom tinsel on display now, but it's fine. Yeah. So there we go. The grain dryer is running like full whack, and I've realised that you really can't hear it. So that's good too. We like that a lot. We like it a lot. So I'm just going to catch up on the chat really quick. Other hands, right, we got there. Mel, back when we had a cat, he loved to run into the office, grab my arm and bunny kick before zooming. Like, absolutely, cats are evil. They've got an evil streak about them, haven't they? Thea's like, that's cute, Mel, but that's because Thea's got a cat, and I'm like, no. Okay, so Discord chat, Discord. To have Discord itself, to the cave Discord itself, I'd rather not. We don't want. Yeah, okay, yep, that's a good point as well. Thank you, Thea. Yes, the cave Discord is invite only. We like to keep it chill. Yes, Mel, absolutely. Like everyone is invited. You know that this is quite a select group. There's only 16 of you here just now, and we just don't want to open it up to a wider audience. Obviously, my videos and my live streams are readily available on YouTube, and we don't want the troll factor. In the 6 years that we've been doing the cave, we really haven't had many problems, and we don't want to start now. But if you let either Thea or I know, we're more than happy to invite you. Can they use the info? Yeah, as far as I'm aware, Thea, if they can't, we'll fix it so they can. Yeah, like humidity's, it's just fucking, it's rank. It's awful just now. Right, Jan saying, right, boss has gone home, so no chat distractions. Jan, see if your workplace ever find this, like, you're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. In the best possible way, of course. I will defend you to the hilt, madame. Right, let's work on these legs a little bit. I think I'm going to have a wee bit of a sharpen here again. The other thing I was going to talk about, just when we were talking about animals in general, something happened with Jock today, and it's the first time it's happened, and it's honestly, oh, I've got a broken leg again. Yeah, there it is. It's the first time it's happened, and it's made me a wee bit sad. So to set the scene, I've been in the cave for most of the day, although I've been popping in and out, and I had the Olympics on iPlayer, like on the computer here, and the volume was medium, and Jock was lying, his bed's down there. He was actually out of his bed like slightly to the right of that, because there was a little sun puddle. Obviously the sun comes through the window, and he was absolutely fast asleep. And when it came to feeding time at lunchtime, which is 1 o'clock, if I rattle the dishes, his is a metal dish, so it makes a lot of noise. And normally if I do that and call him like with a high pitch, so like I'll shout Jock like that, he comes battering through, and he didn't. And I waited a little minute and I did it again, and he still didn't come through. So I came back into the cave, and he was lying in his little sun puddle down there, and he was absolutely out cold. We did go for quite a long walk this morning, which is probably what I would say is to the outer reaches of Jock's capacity now. So I fully expected him to sleep for a bit this morning after that, but that was at like 7 o'clock this morning, and he was absolutely stone cold out. So I brought the bowl with his food in it through, and I knelt down beside him, and his eyeballs were like rolled back in his head, and I could see his third eyelid across, even though his eyes weren't totally closed, and he was doing these like big snory deep breaths, and I almost didn't have the heart to wake him, but because he's got to take medication, I have to feed him regularly. So I blew on his ears, which is what we used to do with Woo because she was deaf, because you don't want to like startle a deaf dog. And it took him a good like 7 or 8 seconds to like really. And he kind of looked at me, and then the very end of his tail started tapping off the floor. So I showed him the bowl, and he was like, right, okay. And he got up, and then he like trotted through to the other end of the house. And that's the first time I've ever called Jock for lunch and he hasn't come. And do you know, that way it's one of those moments where you realise it's a turning point, and you're like, yeah, he's getting old. He's maybe not hearing as well because the background noise of what was going on with the Olympics, and he obviously was in a deep enough sleep that he couldn't hear me, or he just didn't respond. And I'm just like, got a geriatric dog now. It's kind of sad in a way, but I've got this thing for like, I've got an affinity for older dogs, and also one-eyed dogs because I've had one of those as well. But it's just one of those points where you realise you don't have a middle-aged dog anymore like he is. He's an old boy. But he was so cute with it, and he trotted through and he munched up all his lunch and everything was cool. But I was just kind of like, getting to be an old boy now. It really, really is. Yes, Thea, good point. Add your YouTube username if you want to join the Discord too. That would be helpful. It does. It just makes it easier. Oh, hi, Daria. Daria's been playing golf. Surprise, surprise. How did you get on, Daria? I would love to know what the part for the course was and how you got on. And did you win with all your pals? Oh yes, happy Thea. Yes, he's, we're very big on quality of life here, and he's definitely happy, but he's just slowed down a lot. I say this quite frequently, but for a collie who was a working dog, 12 and a bit now is it's a decent age. He's not done by any manner of means, but you have to appreciate that life's been hard on his body, and we've done our best to look after him. But it's going to catch up with him at some point. So, to be fair, I mean, the life expectancy of collies generally is between sort of 12 and 16. For a working dog, you would expect that to be at the lower end of that scale. And although Jock's got a few bits and pieces going on, I don't think he's by any means done. But there comes a point, and then one day all of a sudden you realise, like, what an old dog now. It's a bit like with Pip, to be fair. I've accepted recently that Pip is now middle aged, like, because she's always been the baby. And I mean, she's still the baby because she's the youngest, but she, like, Pip's coming up on 6 now. She'll be 6 in a couple of weeks. So she's definitely a dog, like, she's not a baby anymore. But it's just one of those things, though. But Jock is getting to be an old man, and we'll look after him. And if we can do as well for him as we did for Woo, the Jack Russell, then I would be really, really happy. You see, Woo was nearly 17. She was just shy of her 17th birthday when we had her put down, and we did that out of kindness. We could have probably stretched it out for a couple of months, but she was having more bad days than good days, and for me that's just not that's not what it's all about. Right, this little front leg here, again, we've talked about these arrows here with the direction of the light source. So this top edge here is going to be super, super light, and that's what we're going to do. We still need to have the form of that front leg though, so that we know what it is. And that's going to have a slight curvature on it as well, so we'll start dark down here. And I just feel that this area here is going to be quite light. Again, and I talk about this all the time, we're not here to do this with military precision. You know that I'm all very aware of where I am in my art journey and what it looks like, but if you want to get that sense of it, the brain fills in the gaps. So as long as you've kind of got an impression of it, that's all you really need, unless you're going for like ultra realism, which obviously is a completely different kettle of fish from a fat cartoon sheep in a fat llama float. Right, this spot down here, I think that needs to be yellow just to kind of like balance out the distribution. But again, that's going to be quite dark, so we'll maybe pick some colours to go over the top of that. That looks not too bad. So let's move on to the face now. We're talking about trying to hybrid the contours of a llama stroke alpaca face, but also a floaty. Like this is a technical nightmare. But let's try and do it. So we're going to have this edge here. Let's just try and get the planes. So there's the snout part, which is obviously like a nose. That's going to be lighter because it peaks just like a nose. But we've also got this light source as well. So there's going to be quite a delicate balance between this. Again, not saying this is going to be particularly technical, but we'll get the gist of it in. I'm starting to get really hoarse. I'm going to grab my water now. My massive vat of water. It's like the size of my head. Pip is a collie. Jock is a tricolour collie, so they're short-haired, but they are white, black and tan. Pip is basically a short-haired border collie, so she has border collie markings, but with a much smoother, shorter coat. We deliberately pick them because practically they are much easier to clean. Scotland's very wet, so if you've been out chasing sheep about, if you've got a dog with long hair, it's really difficult to get them clean and dry. If you don't get your dogs dry, that's how they develop arthritis early on in life, because they're damp all the time, and obviously that seeps into their bones. Yeah, Ulrika, yeah, I was only kind of gesticulating to myself, to be fair, but yeah. Wanted to show you my bottle. Mel says collies have a very special place in my heart. Really? I would love to know why. It's a good bottle. This was an accidental purchase. I thought this was like a 1 litre, and it's actually a 2 litre. But what that does mean is that I can basically just lug it about with me all day. It's got this very convenient carry handle, which is probably just as well. Not that I've got far to go, because I'm usually just sloping about the house. But what does happen is if you start quite early and then it gets like this time of day, the water's lukewarm and it's stale. I topped this up at lunchtime, like up to the halfway mark, so it's not been too bad, but I think it's a bit obnoxious personally. Yeah, it's okay. I like it because on one side it's got the actual measurements. I don't know how well you can see that. I'll maybe just put you back on face cam for a wee minute. So it's got millilitres and ounces, depending on if you work in metric or imperial or American, whatever way you want to say it. But also on the other side, it's got times on it. So it says start good morning, and then it's like 9 AM, and that goes all the way down till 9 PM as well. So it's just a little bit of fun. I can't say I stick to it rigidly, but I do, like, across all my fluids during the day, I try to get 2 litres, and at least 1 litre of that being pure water. The rest is made up by tea, water with cordial or like diluting juice. I'm sure most of you will know what I mean by that. And then maybe a little bit of alcohol every now and then, but that's getting fewer and further between for me, so... But anyway, I do find drinking a lot of fluids helps with the sore head situation as well, though. So I'm kind of in quite a good rhythm with that. But I do think that I could maybe drink a little bit more. There's always room for improvement. I really want the I was talking about the independent like split lip of camelids in the last stream, and I kind of want to accentuate this. So I'm just going to put a really deep line in there, and I'll work out the shading and stuff later, but I just feel like that's a really important feature of what's going on. So again, let's get this outer ear, and this side's going to be lighter, and that's going to be dark, but this is going to be our floofy bit. And then that's going to be lighter, and then this is going to be floof. And we decided, if I just need to consult the original, which is now folded up like a concertina. Let's take a wee look at this. Yeah, so I had really tight curls going on there. Let's pick out the darker purple. So I'm going to go for Tickle Pink, which is purple, not pink, but that's fine. I'm going to grab that and we'll make that the basis for our floofiness. I'll probably build this up with the polychromos. Most of you that use polychromos will know exactly what colour I'm looking for in that set. But let's do that because that's kind of cute. It's kind of nice. Let's maybe exaggerate it. Let's bring it all the way up just for funsies. Right, so that's resonating with me just now. So I'm going to take one of my favourite polychromos pencils, and that is mauve. And I'm just going to start building up some texture. So I'm not going to colour this in solidly because we want texture, because we want it to look really woolly and fluffy. So I'm going to pop in using a scumbling motion, but a very loose one. Normally when we're colouring, we keep that really tight so that we get coverage. We're loosening that right up because we want the texture here. We want this because we decided that would be an extenuating feature that might not necessarily be related to having a floaty, but it's necessary, and in this case it's worthwhile. But we want the depth here, and not bothered about light sources. We'll pop something in eventually, but let's just do a couple of look, whirly swirly woo. Like, this is fun. Bit of an unruly hairdo, a bit like myself. So that's given us a basis for that, which is great. Elise says there's an awesome YouTube channel about grooming dogs called Girl with Dogs. She specialises in large herding dogs. Cool. Mary's got a 1 litre version of yours with the same drinking messages. Yeah, they're kind of fun, aren't they? Jan's finished for the day. Hurrah, hurrah. Oh, Mel grew up with collies, so maybe you're biased, but they're the best adventure buddies. Yeah, they are. I mean, I love dogs generally, and there's lots of breeds that I love that I wouldn't necessarily have as pets. I will forever have collies now. I wouldn't even, honestly, woo, bless her heart, I would still never have another Jack Russell. Terriers are very stubborn breeds. They're difficult to train, and even if you have got them trained well, sometimes they're just like, no, I know better. They've got that kind of like stubborn streak in them. I will forever have collies. So yes, I am definitely biased as well. But I mean, collies are a good all-rounder as well. They're great family dogs as long as you train them properly as pups. And as long as you keep them entertained. They're fabby dogs. One of the things that gets me a lot is Pip is very high energy. She gets excited at a swinging gait. She's not an unruly dog because obviously I've trained her, but she's a very hoppy dog. Like when she gets excited about things, she goes up on her hind legs and bounces up and down, and people think that she's trying to jump up on them, and she's not. She's just like bouncing on the spot, and she doesn't do it with Mama Gem. And I find that really interesting because Mama Gem had her knee replaced a couple of years ago, and at that point Pip was only, well, that was during COVID, so Pip would only have been like a year and a half. And obviously we were very like, no, you can't do that. And she still gets really excited around my mum, but she doesn't jump up in front of her. And that's just a testament to their intelligence. So although Pip is really high energy, she's perceptive and she knows when and when not to, and if she does when she's not supposed to, she knows she's going to get into trouble for it. Says, looks like my hair this morning when I woke up. I was kind of halfway there myself, Ulrika. I see Mary's talking about English setters. Setters are lovely, but they're absolutely thick as two short planks, and I'm convinced they've got a built-in genetic 5-second delay on them. Beautiful, beautiful, elegant dogs, but oh my god, they're stupid. Labrador Retrievers, again, a breed that I absolutely love, especially Labs, and I would just never have one. No, thank you. Cuddle them to death, but I wouldn't have one. Yorkshire Terriers, who knew? Not as thick as the bloke on Reddit, though, the sheep bloke. There's our local pub that we don't go to very often. There's a standing joke that every time I go to the pub, I end up with a pub dog. We leave the dogs behind when we go to the pub because obviously I'm with them 24/7. So if we go out somewhere, I like to get like a little bit of relief. But when we go to the pub, I always befriend a dog because it is a dog-friendly pub. And I actually have a pub dog now, and his name's Rafa. And Rafa is the biggest, shaggiest Labrador Retriever I have ever seen. He's like a really dark golden colour, and he's the most biddable dog ever, but he's like a big lion. And the lady who owns him is, I don't want to insult her, but she's probably late 60s, maybe a wee bit older. And she comes in on her own quite a lot of the time. And she's like, do you mind if I leave him with you while I go to the bathroom? I'm like, yes, please. Come and I'll cuddle him. And he's the best dog. Like, he's absolutely lovely. And he's so sociable with humans. He greets everyone that comes into the pub. And he's got this great big tail with like the big feathers on it. And it sways back and forth. And he's super happy to see everyone. Like, he's an absolute delight. Would I ever have a Labrador Retriever? No, because they are a million times hairier than collies, and I have got enough hair to deal with. And they're also, in the strain of Labradors, they're quite greedy dogs. I'm just like, no, thank you. But he's my absolute favourite. He really is. Job. Just making sure the old man's all right down there. Missed quite a lot of chat again because I'm too busy talking. I see his uncle had a terrier as well. Yeah, they're quite headstrong little dogs. Doesn't matter what kind of terrier you've got, they're all like that. Ulrika had Springer Spaniels and Pointers as well. I love Pointers. I think they're like super majestic dogs. Right, while I'm banging on about dogs, I'm going to jump, because you know I like to do that, I'm going to jump to my special Polychromos pencil, which is my indigo that's got the colour missing off the end. And I'm going to work on these colours a little bit. So I'm using little crescent shapes on this like bottom left hand side because our light's coming from here. And I'm just going to start to build that up. And I know I've been jumping about a lot here with this drawing, but I'm very much from the school of you have to work on the whole picture. If you concentrate just on one point, you end up running away with yourself and realising that the rest of it doesn't fit in. So it is important to jump about, and as I said earlier, I like to work on the dark areas. Like, that's my primary sort of area of concentration. So if we do this now, I'm making a start and getting those dark tones in, getting the contrast in. We'll continue to build this up, but I kind of want this. I've got an ad coming in about a minute. 50 seconds for those of you that don't have YouTube Premium. You will be seeing an ad just shortly. Won't have any conversations that are important without you. There you go. See, that looks nice. That looks good. So back to the wisteria, and I'm going to start with the ears now because I've built this foundation for this particular little section. You know I like to work in sections. Do need to be sharpened though, but we'll work on that just now. And we've got another broken lead. Now this is the difference between the likes of your Polychromos and your mid-range pencils, which the Castle Arts definitely are. That's another broken lead. And that's choked up my shutter. Sorry about that noise, guys, if you've got your phones on. I'm really sorry. I did that far too close to the microphone. Elise says, would you have an Irish setter or a Great Persian? I would not have an Irish setter again for the response delay reasons that I mentioned before. Just like, I'm so used to having collies that answer you instantly and are constantly like awaiting instruction. Having an Irish setter would drive me up the wall. They're beautiful dogs. I would cuddle them to death. But for a dog to have in the house and, you know, live with day to day, absolutely not. A Great Persian, I've seen them. I have no experience of them, so I can't really comment on that. It's really nice to have a dog with a lovable personality, but unfortunately, lovable personality isn't everything. All my dogs have had lovable personalities. Like, we've been really lucky with our dogs. I mean, Woo was amazing. Would I ever have another Jack Russell? No. No, 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 no. Doesn't matter how cute and small they are, still wouldn't have another one. Very much a lady of convenience. I tell you what I would have though, and Mr. Jem and I have talked about this quite a lot. We would take a rescue animal that was any sort of collie crossed with anything, because we are very aware that there are lots of shelter animals that need homes. We wouldn't necessarily need to take on a puppy. I think we would need to take on a younger dog just for Pip, because Pip would have to be the dominant animal. Pip is very fearful of larger dogs than herself, particularly Labradors, because she had an incident with them when she was a puppy. They weren't overly aggressive, they were just too friendly, and she was overwhelmed, and she is very, very wary of Labradors now. So if we were going to bring another dog into the household, it would have to be a dog that was physically smaller than her on entry, not necessarily to end up. But I think, to be fair, I think we'd probably go down the collie or collie cross route again, but that's what we're used to and that's what we're good at in this house. And everyone always said to us, like, oh, your dogs are so well behaved, you've got collies, they're really high energy. And I'm like, yeah, they're really easy to train, you know, you're giving me too much credit here. Hi Terry, how you doing? You just sneaked in there. You slept in a bit today, well, good for you, I'm glad. Her last pup was a Yorkshire Terrier. Oh my god, like Yorkshire Terriers, just like no. I wouldn't want and never would have. Not a dog for me at all. Just no, no. Right, we'll pop a wee bit of mauve in here. Now, when we're talking about, we're going to get a little bit technical here. When we're talking about alpaca or llama ears, obviously they've got a little fold and then they've got like the insidey bits. So I want to grab like a pinky colour. So if I just refer back to this pastel colour chart again, I'm thinking maybe foxglove might be a good idea here. So that's the one we've been using for the spots. But if the sun's shining on it, that's going to be quite vibrant. So let's do that, and then we'll pop a wee bitty in here. And then I can go back to the wisteria on the outside, and then I'll pop a wee tiny bit of mauve right on that outside edge. Ooh, I kind of want to keep that point on the ears. Yeah. Oh, okay. Nice, 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 nice. And then we can start filling in round, now that we've established that sort of dark edge. So I'm going to pop a wee bit of the wisteria around the eyes, and now we're going to start to darken down the eyes. So I want to go in with the dark indigo first. I don't want like a deep dark black because it looks quite flat. We will put black in, but just to kind of start getting the tones in, we'll start with the indigo. Yeah, and now that we've established the outline of this jaw here, which I want to be quite prominent, if I just revert back to the original sketch, we can see the direction of the eyelashes, and I kind of want to keep this derpy sort of slightly off kilter, as if like someone's put their false eyelashes on when they're drunk, just because it adds to the charm. So we want really deliberate strokes there. And again, we can fix these in Photoshop. They don't need to be exact, but I want the line of them to be quite fluid. So I'm going with what I've put out there. I'll probably shorten that one down a little bit, but that's the kind of feel I'm going for because we want this to be, we're talking about an inflatable llama stroke alpaca here, so the more ridiculous the better as far as I'm concerned. But you can see I'm leaving that little orbit in the middle of the crescent, and that will be the highlight, which I said I'll crisp up in Photoshop when the time comes. So these ones we just want to be a little bit less ridiculous, because obviously that's going to be a foreshortened view because the head's turned like in this direction. The highlight needs to be in roughly the same place though, so they don't look cross-eyed. So the highlight's going to be up in this top right hand quarter, again in line with our light source. So let's pop that in. I see that instantly brings life to this tiny little section. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab a black pencil. This is from the Polychrome set, obviously not from the Castle Arts pastel tint colours. So I'm just going for flat out black. And again, going with the light source theory. So in this bottom left hand. Oh yeah, so starting to get some really good, really good contrast here now. And what I might even do is sharpen this up. And I mean, the pencil's quite sharp just now, so I'm going to put my Tagal to the number 5 setting and just give that a wee tickle in there. Super pointy point. And very gently, I'm just going to hook in a couple of these right hand facing C's. So like a back to front C. Or a forward facing C if you're actually writing. It's backward for me because never mind. If you're left-handed, you know what I'm talking about. Not to fill anything in, but this is just for texture and nothing else. Got to be careful to go gently with this though, because we don't want it to be overwhelming and make what we've got muddy. So even just that, you can see the difference. It doesn't look black, the fluffy hair, it looks purple. But there's enough contrast there to let you see that it is really like tight curly hair. That's exactly what we're after. Oh, excuse me. Well, had a Newfie cross for a while. Good grief. Biggie dogs, biggie dogs. A big ball of love, yeah. The more ridiculous, the better. Yeah. We do need a pointy point sticker. I'm not really sure what a pointy point sticker looks like yet though. See when ideas come in, whether through its chat or comments on YouTube or whatever, I usually have an instant picture of in my head of what that looks like. And with the pointy point thing, I've been thinking about it for ages, but there's 5 or 6 different things floating about in my brain, and I haven't really settled on what is the right thing yet. I will give that more consideration though, because I agree, like 100% we need a pointy point sticker. Right, so let's work on this this jawline here. I need to smooth it out a little bit, it's a bit harsh. There we go. So this is just the mauve pencil. And really gentle. So back to this scumbling motion which we used up here, but much tighter circles because we actually want to shade in what's going on the left hand side of this eye. Now again, getting technical about anatomy here, but with llamas and alpacas, they are the animals that get preyed on, so their eyes are on the sides of their heads, so their eyes protrude. So based on that, although we are not anatomically correct, we do want shadow around this eye side. So if we just do this and then blend it out, because we've got a little bit of black here as well, that's going to kind of like smoosh it out. It might get a little bit muddy, but not going to worry about that too much. And just keep this scumbling motion, and then we can go back to this really pretty wisteria pencil and we can take that over the top. And you can see I've not sharpened that. That's quite blunt, all things considered, considering how pointy we got there. And we can just blend that out a little bit. You all know I like to keep the pencil texture. It's part of the reason I like to work in pencil. So let's do that. But I don't want to lose this independent, the split lip factor. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the mauve and I'm going to put in the very basics of these nostrils. So basically really stretched out oval shapes. This one on this side is going to be foreshortened again because of the shape of the head and the angle that we're at. So this one wants to be a little bit longer because obviously we can see the jawline. This does need to stretch to almost the other side of the face though, but this one needs to be exaggerated because of that. Now, not in ridiculous terms because we're not side on. It's not even a 3/4 view. It's almost like a 1/8 view. I don't know. You can do the maths on that. But while I'm here with this mauve pencil, I just want to run this under the jawline here. And again, we'll run a quick line, really quick, and then we'll start to scumble it out. Like so. Just so that we've got that little bit of definition there and you can see where the jawline is coming on the fallote. And on this side now we can start to build up a little colour. Now that we know where the nostrils are, because that like nostrils and eyes are a huge feature of these types of animals. If you don't have them in there, you might as well not bother. So let's do that. And I want to keep this middle point fairly clear so that we can get the idea of that contour of the middle of their face. And I might not do much more than that with it. Sometimes less is more. But let's get this the chin and the bottom lip part in. And again, just with the mauve, I don't want to go in with anything darker than that because I don't want it to be too obvious. But there it is. Look, beautiful. And we've managed to keep the smoothness and the rotundness of something that's inflated. And that's something that's kind of been in the back of my mind while we've been doing this. But now we want to start working down the neck. And I realise we're coming very close to 5 o'clock, which is fine. I would actually like to stay on a bit longer today, but because the boys are at harvest, I have people to feed when the guys work on. What is with all these adverts? I'm cancelling this next one. This is getting ridiculous. Because the boys are having to work on. It's not my job. It's not my responsibility to look after them, but I feel very strongly about looking after people that work for Mr. Jem. So, and I mean, I'm Italian. I have to feed people. That's like my love language is feeding people. So, want to go out and plus as well, if I can help with trailers or, you know, whatever, then absolutely need to go and do that. So, can't stay on today much as I'd like to. We will continue next Wednesday. My schedule's pretty good for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Mama Gem's coming the middle of August, but she's coming at a weekend. So we'll keep our Wednesday streams and we'll just carry on with this until it's done. I would like to think the next stream we would be close to finishing, if not finished, but, you know. Need a light source sticker as well. Right, okay. Alright, Jan. I hear you. Maybe it's a pencil, pointy point, an offensive yellow, an offensive orange. If you're going to have offensive yellow, you need to have offensive orange now. When you say pointy point, I think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the steak on Mr. Pointy. Ulrika, you're kind of showing your age a little bit there, but like, shh. It's normal to look after the people who are helping with the work. Well, now this is the thing. I am in a very unique position because, well, when I say unique, it's unique to normal working standards because technically, I have nothing to do with the farm. I just happen to live in the house that Mr. Jem has been put in. And he is in the house because he has to be here to run the farm and run the estate. There is a moral responsibility that comes with that, and I have always taken that quite seriously. But obviously, because I've got an agricultural background as well, I'm not going to stand back and watch my husband struggle. I am in a position where I have the skills to help him with his job. That's not reversed, obviously. Like Mr. Jem can't come and do a live stream for us. But I am not going to sit back and watch him like slugging away and just be like, oh, it's not my job, I'm not going to do that. But when it comes to the people that work for Mr. Jem, like, I have a relationship with these people because if Mr. Jem's not around and they have an emergency, they're going to come to me because I can help them, and I'm here at home all the time. And I will stop what I'm doing to go out and help them, especially if it's something serious. So there is definitely a moral obligation, and some farmers' wives completely ignore that, and they just like, oh, it's not my job, I don't get paid, I'm not doing it. That's not the way that we work, and we made that very, very clear when we, and I say we in the literal sense, because when you go for an interview for something like this, there's always a second interview, and the spouse or partner is the person that comes into that second interview, because it's not a job, it's a lifestyle, it is a way of life, and for whoever is doing the interviewing, they have to understand the level of engagement they can expect from the other half. And when we came for the second interview, I made it very, very clear that when calving's going on, it's not Mr. Jem that wakes up during the night when cows are making weird, like, I'm in labour noises. It's me, and it's me that goes out. It's not him, because I physically could not go back to sleep. I would have to go and deal with that. So it was very much known from the beginning that we came as a set, and that I would help, and I wouldn't expect remuneration for it, because as far as I'm concerned, it's part of what we do. And feeding the boys at harvest is no different from that. What I do respect and appreciate in return is the acknowledgement of that and the mutual respect that comes with that, and maybe a little bit of leeway on an odd occasion. And a prime example of that is the extension that's being built on our house. Normally with things like that, you split stuff down the middle financially, and we've negotiated, and the landowner has agreed to pay for a larger part of the extension, because this is a tied house. We don't pay rent, we don't own it, but we are here basically until Mr. Jem decides to retire. We have to live in this house for at least another 20 years, if not 30 years. And all we're doing is adding value to the property. So there's negotiations, they're coming and going, but it has to be done in a respectful manner, and you have to know your place. And for someone like me that has come from a farming background with farming family, has a degree in agricultural things, and has all the hands-on experience, and supported Mr. Jem through the last like 10-12 years, there's got to be come and go, and feeding the staff when they're working till 2 o'clock in the morning, as far as I'm concerned, like, I would do that anyway, because people need food. Like, if you want to be loved and be warm, you need food. A Mr. Jem live stream, well, I don't know about that. He's very, very shy. He doesn't mind having a wave at the camera, but he hates the sound of his own voice. Like when he hears it recorded. I know that's a thing for a lot of people, but for Mr. Jem, because he's got a very thick Northern English, some people think it's a Yorkshire accent, but it's actually a Lancashire accent with a tweak. He thinks he sounds really stupid. Yeah, it just is how things are in a farming environment, and Thea knows this because she's got a farming family too. And Mr. Jem stickers. See, if we did a set of Mr. Jem stickers, they would all have sweary words in them. Maybe I should get like a couple of his catchphrases and we'll do them with stickers just for a giggle. That would actually be really funny. He's hilarious when he gets started. The thing that always tickles me though is, see, when he phones his mum and dad right now, his dad's Irish. His dad's name's Seamus. You don't get much more Irish than that. But Seamus was born in Ireland and they live in Ireland, but he spent most of his life in Lancashire, which is where Mr. Jem's from. And they've got really thick Lancashire accents. But when Mr. Jem phones home to speak to his dad, it gets like really, really broad Northern English all of a sudden, and it's hilarious to listen to. Because he laughs at me about what he calls jockanese, which is Scottish. And he's like, oh, you get really jockanese when you talk to your mum and dad on the phone. And like, The thing is, I don't, because I'm Jockneys now, but obviously because we've moved about Scotland, we've lived in almost every corner and place in Scotland. Um, and the corners have been knocked off my accent as I've moved about, so I don't have a thick Ayrshire accent anymore, but I still very much sound Scottish. But he says when I talk to my mum and dad, like I drop back into proper Ayrshire. And he doesn't seem to understand that he drops back into like thick Lancashire when he speaks to his dad. And it's so funny to listen to, but I really enjoy listening to it because he uses all the slang terms as well. It's hilarious. It's super funny. Thea would love swear word stickers. Mary speaks more Yorkshire when you're around more Yorkshire people as well. Yeah. And Mel gets way more Irish and much louder. Mel, are you north or south? Obviously, I know the difference. There's a huge difference. But both of those have their own merits, and I love them for different reasons. Are really funny. It is funny though how we adjust our accents, and I know that Mr. Jem, like he's picked up a lot of Scottish words. Like he doesn't sound Scottish at all, and he never will because he's, his accent's quite ingrained. But it's really funny to hear him using phrases and words, and I kind of like that he does because he's been here a long time now. I've obviously rubbed off on him a wee bit, but there's words and phrases that he uses and that Seamus uses, and I've adopted them wholeheartedly. One of the things that really tickles me about my father-in-law is that he's quite religious, Catholic, obviously, and he's the most un-Catholic Catholic I've ever met. My family are Italian on one side. I know all about Catholicism, and he's the sweariest Catholic I've ever met. And one of Seamus's favourite phrases, which just tickles me to the core, is "fuck them, let them come to the meetings." And it's basically like, balls to this, just whatever happens, happens. And it absolutely folds me every single time because this is a man that goes to mass every Sunday and is very respectful and all the rest of it. And then he comes out with stuff like that completely off the cuff, and it does me in, but like in the best possible way, and I love it. And like I see a lot of Mr. Jem coming from his dad in that sense. Mr. Jem is not religious at all. He's like me. He's like, no, balls to the religion thing. But he's definitely his dad's son, if you know what I mean. And it cracks me up every time. And it's one of the reasons I love my father-in-law, because he just comes out with this stuff like off the cuff, like, yeah, whatever. Like, oh man, couldn't ask for better in-laws, like really couldn't. It's amazing fun. Mary's niece was born in South Shields. Okay, so very strong accent there. But obviously has a Yorkshire dad, relatives, and comes here every other weekend, so she's got a right mix, yeah. Ulrika, though my Cockney partner thinks I'm Geordie enough already. Oh, Thea's got dialect as well, even though she's born in Vienna. How do you pronounce that, Thea? Because I would say Tyrolean. Tyrolean? Please correct me, I like to know these things. But your mum's lost almost all of her dialect. Well, see, I think there's quite a lot of factors at play. I think it depends on the household you're brought up in, as well as the region that you're in as well. Oh, Mel's south, just outside Dublin. Oh, love it, Mel. Well, yes, you have. Where my in-laws are, they're in the south, but they're at the border, so although they've got a southern accent, it's quite sharp. There's obviously tinges of the northern accent, but when you're down in Dublin, you're like Father Ted territory, aren't you? Which is personally my favourite, just saying. But yeah, a lovely part of the world to be in. I love visiting Ireland, and I love visiting my in-laws as well. It's a bit of a trek for us to get from where they are. As I say, they're just over the border. They're in Donegal. To go down to Dublin, it's a long drive. One of the criticisms I will say about the south of Ireland, apart from the fact you'll drive like nutcases, the signposts are terrible. And going to Dublin is a mission. It's like driving from Edinburgh to London. It's quite the adventure. But I love going over. It's a great time. It's like It's like being on the west coast of Scotland, except with more interesting people. Tiro, okay, Tyrolean. Okay, right, thanks, Thea. Always appreciate corrections. Mary, the Bostonian accent is unique. Oh, don't talk that. I have to say, and the Americans, there's always this debate. For I apologise to any of our US friends here, but there are far fewer dialects in the whole of the US than there are in the UK. The Bostonian accent stands out so badly, and it's not pleasant to listen to. It's kind of the American equivalent of listening to somebody from Liverpool here. It's a very grating accent, but it's very unique in that sense, and you can pick it out, and that's the nice thing about it. All the Southerners wish they had a Donegal accent. Why, Mel? Why? Like Dublin and surrounding areas, like even Cork, Mayo, like much nicer, like much nicer on the ear. Susan's from Edinburgh, live in Fife, but have more of a Highland accent due to ex-husband, but the kids definitely. Oh, so your kids have got a singy-songy Fife, eh? I loved that about staying in Fife. That was the last cave that we were in. We were in Fife, and I love the Fifer accent. Papa Jem, so my dad, he was brought up as a child in Fife, and there's still words even today. He's lived on the West Coast for 50 years, and there are still words that he says that are East Coast words, and one of them is the little place that he grew up in, and for anybody that's English speaking, it's spelt Burnt Island, so as in an island that has been engulfed in flames, but if you're from Fife, it's pronounced Burnt Island. It's an island, not an island. And any word that, like, so when he's talking about any other islands around Scotland, he says island and not island. And that, I think it's really funny because that's something that was obviously ingrained in him from his youth. But yeah, the Fife accent. Well, I mean, it's quite a lot of the East Coast as well. Even if you go inland to Perth, they've got a really sing-song accent as well, and they say "eh" a lot. I love it to listen to. It's really nice, and I've picked up a wee bit of that, but not enough for folk to say "oh," because everyone that I speak to here says, "Oh, you're not from here," and I'm like, "No shit, clearly a West Coaster." Thea says, remind me when we chat next time, Jem will pronounce Tiro for you properly. Okay, thank you, Thea. Mel says, in reference to the south of Ireland, yeah, the signposts, they're more of a guideline. I kind of feel that way about the entirety of the south of Ireland. Like, see, when you go places or ask questions, everyone's like, yeah, well, kind of, oh, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, well, okay. Everyone's so freaking laid back. Oh, Susan says jamped for jumped. That is, I absolutely, like, I detest that with the fire of 1,000 suns. Jamped. It's jumped. The other one is hundred for 100. It's not 100, it's hundred. And to me, that's lazy. But that is a very fifey thing, jamped. Oh, God, I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Oh, that is true, Mel, isn't it? See, I absolutely love going to visit my in-laws. It's very much a home from home for me though, because obviously, like from the West Coast, which my parents still stay, at one point Ireland and that side of Scotland were joined together, so it's very familiar, but at the same time it's very different, but in a good way. It's super good fun though. I tell this story quite a lot as well with my in-laws because they're near the border. They keep, again, being older people as well, obviously, the next generation, well, they're boomers, but they still carry a lot of cash, and they have two wallets in the house, and one has got pounds in it because they can go over the border into the north, which is technically part of Great Britain, so it's the Great British Pound, but where they are, it's euros, and they call them yo-yos, as in a yo-yo. So they've got a yo-yo purse and a pounds purse. And depending on what you want, what day of the week it is, and what time of day it is, you will get handed the yo-yo purse or the pounds purse, and you go in two different directions for shopping. And it's just one of those things. I really like it. I do really like it. And also my in-laws have goats, which I never want to have ever, but it's fun to go and visit and go out and milk the goats and, do the stuff. Susan, I remember saying to a five adult about Jamt, and she was like, yeah, and I was like, no. Yeah, I was like, no. Thea says about further and farther, it's a grammar police thing. I don't know what's going on with these ads. That's another one, guys. I'm skipping that as well. Jeez, oh. Right, I want to fill in these little gaps before we finish up, and then I'm really going to have to go. I'm having far more fun here than I'm going to be running about after boys and trailers, tractors and bus and stuff. So let's just get the wisteria in the colours here a little bit, and we can continue on. As I said, it will be next Wednesday. My social calendar thankfully has calmed down quite considerably. It was getting a bit much for me for a point there. So let's do this. So I need to kind of get this. This is really difficult because we still want the line of the rubber ring to show because of the light source. So we need to get that definition in, but we still need to show that curvature. So this might take a little bit of a refinement on both sides. But let's just get that idea in that there's that, and not a crease, well, it's a seam. I was going to say crease, it's not a crease, it's a seam. Where the actual folds of the inflatable link together. I've maybe made that a wee bit too dark, but I say we'll not worry about it too much. As long as we've got this base colour down, then we can work it out. Pretty sure there's a Beatles song there somewhere. And then that's going to fade right out because, again, this is our light source side. I don't know what I'm going to do with these spot colours, but again, we can figure that out another time. Because really with this, like, we're doing the legwork here. Once we've got all this sorted out, it's kind of easy from this point on, honestly. We're kind of doing all the legwork this time, which obviously you're going to have to do the legwork at some point. But so I'm still trying to follow on that line, but I'm back to the wisteria pencil because it's a lighter pencil. Because we still want that seam to be shown. And even if that means like pressing once really hard, like make that line, we can do that. But again, we'll work that out later. And this foxglove, that's just a little bit pale for my liking. Well, I have to say our llama floaty, no pun intended, is taking shape. We've blown it up enough to give it some shape. And we'll work away on this more next time. And I think we'll just call it quits there. I personally am just really happy that we've got the really tight curly alpaca hair, and we've got that done. It's like mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned. Easily pleased, honestly, guys. I really am. Ah, goodness me. Susan was training in Glasgow and being fascinated in how they all drank ginger beer, as they were always asked for ginger. No, Susan, ginger is a generic term for fizzy juice. It's not necessarily iron brew or ginger beer. If someone says I want a can of ginger, they mean they want a can of fizzy juice. You usually then have to specify what kind of ginger you want. Elise is asking, is there any board crossing from north of Ireland to the south? Or like border crossing? It's a very soft border. There used to be really strict border checks, and there's more or less nothing now. The way that, if you're coming from the north into the south, which is the way that we would go, because from where, like, I'm east of Edinburgh, so we have to travel diagonally down the country to the west coast, and there's ferries that go across to Northern Ireland. So we would drive down, get the ferry to Northern Ireland, and then drive across the border from the north to the south, and that's about an hour and 20 minutes, like once we get to Ireland. But you know when you're in the south, and Mr. Jem told me this like the first time we went across, he's like, when you get into the south, you will know instantly that you're there. And when we crossed the border into the south, there was all these petrol stations or gas stations, because of the exchange rate between the pound and the euro. It was cheaper to go from the north into the south and pay in euros and get your fuel there, than it was to fuel your car up in Northern Ireland. And all those petrol stations are still there, but you can see the remnants of the old border check as well. It was a military border check, again, all the troubles that happened in the north at one point. All those buildings are still there, although they're very insignificant now when you see everything that's popped up. But no, it's a soft border into the south now. You don't need passports or anything like that. Daria says, why is it, although I haven't even lifted a pencil, I still feel like I'm drawing this floaty? It's because you're invested, you're involved, Daria. The one thing I wanted to show you as well that I was pottering about with earlier, I was working away in the ink house earlier, and I'm in what I would call filler pages. So I've worked on these two. I'll just put you back down to top view. So I've put this little butterfly in, but I've put that little metallic bit of Julia's paint in there on the pen nib, because the body of the butterfly is the pen nib, and I've put this like very delicate shadow colour just to give it a bit of lift. But I've also done Clarabella as well, and I've made her look like a cooked crab because we've established that's more fun. But again, I've used Julia's metallic paints, so when you don't have the light, this looks like the inky colour that's used throughout the book, but when you tip it in the light, you've got this nice metallic thing. So that's what I was doing earlier while I was watching the BMX finals. I just thought I would show you that. I'm particularly happy with this because it's quite vibrant, and I've decided that throughout the book, any animal that's in this like pale inky colour, I'm going to leave it like I'm not going to colour it in, so that just makes that stand out even more. So that was my fun earlier. So anyway, just like to show you these things. Mel says also the blatant disregard for rules of the road tells you in the south. I know I say this all the time and it's quite insulting, so I don't like to say it out loud, but everyone in Ireland in the south, I mean, they're in no rush to do anything unless they're driving, and when they drive, they're driving like maniacs, and it's for absolutely no reason. I'm personally very protective of my life if I have to drive and I visit the in-laws. And I mean that in the nicest, most endearing way, honestly. But it's so true. Everyone drives like they've stole their vehicle. Right, anyway, guys, I'm over time. I'm nearly 20 minutes past 5 now. I really need to, like, I'm kind of twitching a wee bit here. I need to go and make sure these boys are all still the right way up and they're not dehydrated. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'm glad we've made a little bit of progress with Baaasil and his floaty here. And as I said, I feel like we've done the legwork today. We've done like the bulk of the hard stuff. So when we come back to this next week, we might not get finished, but I think we'll get close to finished. And you can look out for an update video, which I'm planning on doing in the next couple of days. I have a new colouring series that I'm going to start, which I'm not going to tell you about because I want it to be a surprise, and I can guarantee you're all going to like it. And I also have another video planned, but that might be maybe a week and a half out. We shall see, but as you all know, I'll keep you posted on the socials anyway. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. If you get the chance to watch some of the Olympics, highly recommend. Even if you don't know what's going on, Thea and I were talking about watching the judo and we've got no idea. Still fun to watch. You've taken the time out your day to come and do this with us. As we mentioned earlier, if you want to join us on Discord, there's always people about every day on the Discord, even if you just want a wee chat or to keep up with the goings on in between things. I can see all the other hands. All the other hands. This is mod other hands. Thanks for the mods. I know Ulrika, Thea's been on her Onio today, and hasn't she done a fabulous job as always? She's there for everything that we need. Thea, you are always appreciated. Please know that. I know you know that already, but I like to tell you that because you're a wee gem. Apart from me being a gem, you're the next gem. and I will see you all really soon back in the cave for another video. So hopefully we'll hear from Patty soon as well, how she's got on with her little adopted dog, and I'll see you all really soon. See you later, everyone. Have a good day.